All right, here we are. Yay! Monday, September 17th, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. Elaine, Marolakos, Edelson with Astrology Mojo. I want to help you get your mojo back. How was your weekend? Well, you know what's interesting? Oh, by the way, some housekeeping. If you can't hear me, you'll need to turn up your volume so you can hear me. And let's see. I'm going to be talking a little bit more about Mars today, Mars in Aquarius, and Venus going retrograde. What does that mean? Well, you'll find out. Stick around. Now, interesting, this morning with so much going on in the world and with, everyone and people, I had not one, but two 911 calls from my clients. My diamond clients are entitled to 10-minute 911 phone calls whenever they get into a fix or something is changing rapidly, which it does for my diamond clients, and also my VIP, vibrant, illuminated, powerful clients. So they are entitled to email phone calls, 911s, and two of them came in today. Massive changes for my clients, and what it brings up. Oh, hi, Audra. Hi, Rhonda. So what it brings up for people, change that I'm talking about, and not just the planets moving into a different constellation, like Mars is now in Aquarius through November 16th. Venus is soon to go retrograde on October 5th, but we're feeling it ahead of time. So when planets transition into a different constellation, hi, Brittany. When planets transit into a different constellation, that means we start to feel an energy flow. So what does this energy flow have to do with anything? Well, last week I was talking about Mars in Aquarius and all the things that it can represent. Mars being action, Aquarius is always looking for freedom and through eclectic means, and especially for people who are in Aquarius rising or Aquarius moon, it would have a bigger impact. And then this morning I was doing a workout, my Beachbody workout, and then I went into the sauna and something hit me where I felt powerless in my life. And I thought, well, how, so an issue came up for me. So I thought, where am I, I was confused. I didn't know what it was. So as I was thinking about Mars and freedom and what I was going to talk about today with Venus going retrograde and how the planets are just a mirror image of you and your transition and what you're doing with your life and how you're changing. And then I felt this annoyance come up. So I started doing EFT tapping. Now I did Facebook Live on EFT tapping. I can do another one in the future to let you know. Hey, Gallet, welcome. So you can utilize this technique. It's a tapping technique that helps you to mitigate and reduce intensity of negative emotions and feelings. And literally it covers over 300 acupuncture and acupressure points in the body, developed by Gary Craig in 1995. And so I started tapping like crazy this morning in the sauna. Even though I feel powerless, I didn't know why I felt powerless. I just started to feel powerless. And I thought, well, hi, Karen. I didn't know why. So I thought, well, let me just start. So it's important that if you do tapping, EFT tapping, just start with where you are. As I was talking to one of my my VIP clients this morning and expressing this, and then also a diamond client, as I said earlier, I had two 911 calls like, help, freaking out. So I started tapping when I was feeling this up. So, you start with the karate chop point, and you can go back to the previous video that I did on EFT tapping. And again, as I said, as people are joining in, hi, Sasha, I will do more on EFT tapping. But I started this morning with, even though I feel powerless, and I didn't know why, but that was the word that came. Even though I feel powerless, I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And I did that 3 times. And then I just started tapping on all the points on how I felt powerless and And then, I just kept tapping. I felt powerless, and then I felt annoyed. And then what sprang up was the word of being light, being lighter, not just in body weight, but, emotionally lighter. And so then I tapped on being lighter, and then I tapped on being lighter. And then that brought up another word, and that word was freedom. And I thought, where did that come from? And suddenly I felt in my body that I don't allow myself freedom in certain areas. I don't allow myself freedom. And so that's why I want to add on to the Mars in Aquarius thing. As I learn it, folks, I like to pass it on to you. And something's going on with my color correction. I look kind of pink, don't I? Hey, I got a new diffuser, aromatherapy, because the other one broke. So this one's nice. It changes colors, and it's kind of antique-y looking. So enjoy the show. So I want to bring up this fact that if you are in your life doing your thing, you're working, you're playing, you're getting annoyed, you're dealing with it, you're not dealing with it. Oh, your internet connection keeps dropping. Please discuss how this time impacts other signs such as Gemini. Okay. Well, I will talk about it in general, how it impacts everyone. So with Mars in Aquarius and then Venus about to go retrograde, and I'm going to get into those specifically, what I'm talking about more is your freedom, your power, and your value system. And this is the combination of topics that we're going to be dealing with all the way through November. And so where in your life, you want to pinpoint where in your life you don't feel powerful. And once you establish that, it may be in my relationships, I don't feel powerful. I don't feel powerful in the workforce. I'm not making a lot of money, or I'm not making any money, or I wish I could make more money, or I don't feel powerful in my romantic relationship or with friends. Maybe it's with relatives. You want to pinpoint where don't you feel powerful. Once you pinpoint that, start doing EFT tapping. And once you get the EFT tapping rounds going a few times, then I want you to add the word freedom and correlate for yourself. Where don't you feel free in life? Where don't you allow yourself to be free in life? Is it because you think you're restricted in a relationship, you have to be a certain way, or you're restricted at work, you can only do certain things and then you can't really express yourself? Is it in a personal love relationship, you really feel you can't be completely free, open, and honest and just let it all hang out? Wherever you feel like you are lacking power in the world, in your own life, in your body, with your health, with love, with romance, with finances, wealth, health, passion, and purpose. This is, all the topics that people want to know about in astrology. Well, then correlate that to where you don't allow yourself to be free. And then I think what you'll find the next level is the values that you have on certain things. As I was talking to one of my VIP clients today, who had a crap week. I mean, she's been working it, moving her energy and transforming. And sometimes we don't recognize or we don't notice that when we set out on a path to change something, the way we view the world, the way we interact, the way we are with people, when we attempt to become more truthful with who we are, consciously, with intention, and we don't notice that when we start doing the Bodhi Brainstorm meditation. Hi, Lorraine. Hi, Tammy. Yes, you are here. And so are we all. Hey, yay to being here. When we start changing something with intention, sometimes we forget that the timing it takes, it changes based on our individual selves, but also we don't notice that something out here is starting to change because we're changing our frequency and we're altering our behavior. When the frequency changes, then you have a different you resonate at a different vibration. And then suddenly what happens out there changes and then comes to you in a different way. Like my client who's been working it for 3 weeks every day and working on top of it. She's a VIP client. And she's, had certain goals she wanted to attain. So we went through the curriculum, which is designed specifically to help my clients get through the barriers, internal, psychological, and emotional, that stops them from having what they want. And so she really is, like straight A's with her homework, if you want to call it that, her home fund that I gave her for the VIP. And she was just frantic this morning. Oh my God, what is all? And I said, as you change your energy and you change your frequency, it feels like chaos comes calling. So if you start to make a change in your life, it doesn't matter what sign you are, what rising sign you are, this is intrinsic in who we are. We have the ability to make transition. And when we do, we don't always notice that things are changing out here in the periphery, and then they start to move in. And my client emailed me this morning, the VIP client, and she said, I can't believe it. The one thing she wanted to happen, it happened without her focus on it, because she was focused on everything else that we were talking about for her life and her relationships, or not so much her finances, because she's set there, but her feeling power and having say and feeling comfortable in her own skin. And then what happened, one of the things that she had on her list that she was hoping to achieve and manifest, it happened out of the blue. She called it out of the blue. And I said, well, sweetie, all of your out of the blues come from your unconscious, non-conscious, subconscious self. So when you start to make changes in the world over here, stuff over here starts to happen too. And then they merge and converge and come into this place of, wow, I'm shocked. I was never expecting that, but I was hoping. Or, whoa, I feel sideswiped. I really wasn't expecting that, and I really wasn't hoping for that. But things that start to occur in your life when you make a transition, are predicated upon your intention. What do you choose to do? What do you want to have? Now, does anybody just focus on one thing? No. Who focuses on one thing? Are we not women who multitask, right? We're juggling, we're cooking over here, we're planning over here, we're parenting over here, or we're nurturing over there, or we're working over here, or we're cleaning something, or we're cleaning up our messes. Whatever we're doing, we're never just focused on one thing. So if you were able to focus on one thing, pick that one thing right now, write it down on a piece of paper, where you feel powerless, and then the next level. What if you had that power? What would free up in your life? And then from there, you're going to recognize and realize your value system is a little askew. Because if you really valued this one thing, you'd have more freedom, thus you'd have the power. So we're going to start with the word power, okay? So this is the step model. So write the one thing down where you feel powerless in your life. And it can be, I don't have enough money, or let's just go with that. Let's just say, I don't have a lot of money in my life, or I wish I had more. And that's where you feel powerless. And then you go through all that, well, I could work harder, I could do overtime, I could ask for money, I could get a loan, and you think of all the different ways that you could get the money. But that's not really the point, is it? No, because we want to know, well, if you had this power, and the power would be, in this instance, more money. Let's say you had $50,000 extra dollars, or $5,000 extra dollars, or $500 extra dollars. Okay, great. Now, what does it afford you? Where's the freedom? And you might say, I can pay off my bills, or, I can go out and play. I can go on vacation. I can take my family. I can go get a spa treatment, whatever the thing is. I can do something. It frees up my time. This power frees up my time. And once your time is freed up, then I want you to look at, well, if you have these things, let's just say, let's pretend, because we can imagine things and we need to pretend them into being. We don't pretend that we're happy when we're not. That's not what I'm talking about. But to manifest, you need to focus on something with intention and then act as if. Act on that thing. And we're going to lead up to talking about Venus in a second, okay? Hi, Nani. So when you are feeling powerless, what's the topic? And if you had that power, reverse the situation. It's the opposite now. I have that power, and now I am freed up in what area? Where is my freedom? And then from there, you're going to realize, well, if I valued this thing over here regarding the money issue, if I valued my talents more, I would ask for more money. If I valued my talents in a different way, I would promote myself differently. You see? So the value system is what we're moving toward with Venus in retrograde coming up on October 5th all the way through November 15th. Now we're going to add a week on either side. If you're not familiar with what Venus looks like, there she is in all her glory. Venus guides Taurus and also Libra, the two planets that have different elements. Taurus is an earth sign and Libra is an air sign. Now the R with the X in it, that's retrograde. We are not retrograde yet, but I just wanted to throw in all the elements. Venus deals with, let me just collapse this. Okay. Venus deals with your values, freedom in a certain sense, through beauty, through aesthetics, through love, through romance, through the body, also through feminine energy. And doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. Venus also deals with finances, believe it or not, and the attitudes toward money or the attitudes toward income. Now, if you are someone who is a stay-at-home, you work at home, or you're a stay-at-home mom, there's nothing wrong with that. You still have values. You still want to value how you are feeling as a woman, as a mom, especially if you have a daughter or daughters. And then the flip side is if you are a working woman and you are looking at how do I create more value in my work life, maybe it's office relationships, maybe it's the work that you're doing, maybe it's finding value in your contribution. So when Venus, everyone is born with a different Venus sign. I was born with Venus in Aries. And when it comes to love and romance, a person born with Venus in Aries, they just jump right in. They just jump. They're like, what's your name? Oh, yeah, great, let's go. Well, I don't do that anymore. But, well, my husband's happy that I do it with him. I don't do that anymore in the outside world because it used to get me into trouble. And I used to think, oh, this is fun. Let me just go and see, this is fun. Let's just do it. Now, if you have a Venus in Gemini, you're someone who thinks more about what you want to look like, what you want your romance to look like, or what you're attracted to intelligence. You have intellectual sex before you have physical sex. If you have a Venus in Capricorn, it's like taboo. You won't even allow yourself to show pleasure in public, but in the bedroom, you want Mega Man, you want Iron Man, you want Tarzan. So everyone's Venus is different and it expresses differently. But it doesn't mean you are that way because of the planet. It means the planet shows us how you like to express. When Venus goes retrograde this coming October 5th, we're already beginning the feelings right now because we're starting to think about what do we truly value? Is this worth my time? There is a saying that it's a Polish saying. I don't know who. Audra has Venus in Capricorn. You do show pleasure in public. That's great. It also depends on other configurations in your chart. Plus, I believe you're an Aquarius or an Aquarius rising. So, but it depends on what's going on with angles in your chart. I'm just talking in general. Certain Venus signs will express things or have different value systems. There is a saying in, it's a Polish saying, and it's called, "Not my circus, not my monkeys." I love this. Not my circus, not my monkeys. So in the weeks that are coming, I want you to start looking at who in your life that is there for no other reason than they just exist for whatever reason, not really a close friend, not really someone you value, not really, but they're there for something. They fulfill a need in your life. And maybe and it may just be a neighbor, it may be a coworker, and you say hi, and will you take over this extra paperwork for me because I have to run to the bathroom? Okay, great. I'm not saying you're dismissing a person. I'm just saying what you don't really value. It could be an object, it can be a thing. But I'm talking more about what are the aesthetics in your world? How do you feel about like things in your life? Why is it there? Do you really value it? And then we look at the people, and then we say, well, I really do value this person. Let me tell you, every woman who is here with me live today, and every woman who's listening to this in a replay is going to undergo this no matter what. Men will as well, but women especially, because the Venus retrograde will bring up the reasons behind a relationship. And that can be a friendship. It can be a love relationship. It can be how you behave with men versus women, which can be very telling. I knew someone who was friendly. She loved her friends. And as soon as a guy walked into the picture, she forgot all about her friends. The women were non-existent. It was all about the guy. And then I know someone who she gets along better with men than she does with women. So everybody's different, right? This Venus in retrograde is going to bring up for you at least one relationship that you have that needs some smoothing over. Maybe it's with a friend. Maybe it's the relationship that you have with your feminine side, and you won't allow yourself to receive pleasure. You won't allow yourself to be valued. Remember, I'm talking about where do you feel powerless? That's number one. Then if you did flip it to the opposite. If you did have that power, what freedom would it afford you? And then take a look at the funnel at the way bottom in your unconscious state during the Venus in retrograde. What is it that you're not valuing? Maybe you don't value your time. And suddenly it leads to you not having more freedom because you're taking on other people's responsibilities. And then you feel powerless and resentful because then you don't have time for yourself. So we're going to work our way up and down, backwards and forwards through this Venus retrograde. Now, I keep playing with these cards because I'm drawn to them even more so today. So I'm going to pick some cards for everyone. We know when I talk about Venus, and I'm a Taurus. So when Venus goes retrograde, and it's going to go retrograde in two signs, Scorpio and in Libra. Now, again, let me just show you the glyph. Venus represents value, beauty, love, protection. Can also mean the law, and finances, and your physical appearance, your aesthetic, your sensitivity, your feminine intuition. Venus governs Taurus and Libra. Now, if you are a Taurus sun, rising, or moon, a Venus sun, a Libra sun, rising, or moon, a Scorpio sun, rising, or moon, you are going to feel this the most. Now, add to it Mars in Aquarius. If you have Mars in Aquarius in your birth chart, if you have Aquarius rising, sun or moon, then you're really going to feel this. Now, if you're a combination of Aquarius, Libra, Taurus, or Scorpio, any one of those, you're really going to feel these next couple of weeks through November. And what it's going to bring up for you is, this is not worth my time anymore. This paperwork, these people, this issue, this angst I have, this lack of self-love, it's, not my circus, not my monkeys. So start quoting that Polish phrase anytime you get stuck in somebody's melodrama where, things are spinning and you're thinking, I don't know if this is me. I don't know if I want to be part of this. Hi, Star. All right. So Rhonda is an Aquarius rising with a Taurus moon. It doesn't need to be scary. It needs to be revealing. That's what it's going to do for people. It's going to help you realize what you truly value. And if you value the people in your life, if you value the work that you do, if you value the money that you earn and spend, right? If you value your body, if you value who you are intrinsically and your contribution to the world, then it's only going to get better. But the things you don't value, that you're really not in tune with and you're not on top of, that's going to come out into the open. Now, it could be that a woman comes into your life and points out something. Now, this woman may or may not be a friend, a family member. It could be just somebody passing through. Somebody standing back of in the line of the supermarket, and you're just making a comment like, oh, blah, 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 the cost of pineapples has really gone up. And the woman turns around and says, I just got back from Ecuador, and they had a drought there, and blah, blah, blah. And suddenly you have a whole different perspective on valuing the cost of pineapples, right? So it could be that small. And then you start to realize your small role in the world is a lot bigger, because the more compassion and contribution you make in this world, the better everyone feels. So as soon as you get your crap together, I'm going to have a good night's sleep, right? Just kidding. No, I'm not kidding. It doesn't have to be scary. Hi, Lori. Everybody's here. We have an Aquarius with Venus and Pisces. Oh, you're so sweet. And you're very creative. So you just need to really value your intuition. Your intuition's going to come into play big time. Now, everyone's chart is different, and everyone's behaviors are different, especially, I was just writing about this for my astrology masterclass, and then I'll pull one of these cards, that I was talking about. You could know two people born on the same day with the same sign and the same rising sign. I'm sorry, the same sun sign, the same planetary information. As an example, what I was talking about in my masterclass was Madonna and Angela Bassett, both celebrities in their own right, activists, actresses, and musical. Both are musical. Angela Bassett is gorgeous, so is Madonna, and they're born the same day. They have different rising signs, and they have different moon signs. But their lives parallel in a lot of ways. But they're different people, and they make different choices, and they have different outcomes. So it doesn't matter so much the astrology part of it, although I want you to use astrology as a tool to define and to find the hidden doors behind things. Because sometimes, like this one VIP client that I have said, I was talking to my therapist and I said, yes, you need to continue counseling. Talk therapy helps, but after a certain amount of time, you have to stop talking about it and actually start changing something. And changing is not always easy. Hi, Star. Yay. Hand claps to you, too. It's not always easy to make a transition, but you have the universe at your back, and you have angels on your shoulder, and you have people who would help you, whether you know them or not. So you start to intentionally put out the call. Yeah, including people. Yes, people. So part of this Venus going retrograde is part of you valuing your intuitive self, your feminine self, and understanding that every ailment you have in your body is a reflection of some part of a disservice you are doing to yourself by undervaluing you. When you undervalue you, you eventually don't eat right or don't eat what you need. You eventually don't take care of your body in the way that it needs to be taken care of. And so that's undervaluing yourself. Now, if you start to make changes in your life during this, hey, Nikki, during this Venus in retrograde, remember, it's not the planet. The planets don't make you do anything. We live in a cooperation with our cosmos. So when the planets make a move, you feel it. And when you make a move, the planets reflect that in the cosmos. It's a mirror. It's like looking at a blueprint saying, oh yeah, these are my plans. And your natal chart is what you were born with. You do have a progressed sun, you have transits, the planetary aspects that move around your chart. And I want you to look at your chart. By the way, Dean, if you could post for Astrology Mojo, if you don't have your chart, you can get your chart. And I want to show you the legends so that you can come back to this and see. Whoopsie. I got to move it. There it is. Okay. And you can see what the planets are and where they are in your chart by house. There are 12 houses in every chart. And if you don't have planets in a house, it doesn't mean there's nothing going on there. Not at all. Not at all. Because there's aspects and angles and a whole lot of astrological information that we're not going to talk about right now. But I want you to look at your chart and think of every house. Every house, there are 12 houses in the wheel, right? Every house is a different month for you. Now, depending on your rising sign. So if your rising sign is Aquarius, then the first house deals with the month approximately of late January through 3 weeks into February. That's going to be your first house. If your rising sign is Aries, then your first house is going to be around the end of March through 3 weeks into April. So each house in the chart, in the entire wheel, and there are 12, each one represents approximately 1 month. And in that month, it tells you what time it is. So you want to ask yourself, okay, what time is it? Well, with Venus about to go retrograde on October 5th through November 15th, at a week on either side, we're already beginning the phase. Let me just get my notes here. We're already beginning the phase. What happens is it'll be retrograde in both the signs of first Scorpio and then in Libra, and then it comes back into Scorpio in direct motion, and then back into Libra in direct motion. So what's going to happen for you? You're going to look at your chart and say, well, where's Venus? Here's Venus. This is what Venus looks like, right? And you may have been born with a Venus in Gemini, but now Venus is transiting and going to be in the sign of Libra and then Scorpio. So let's look at this. What's Libra? Libra is, you see what Libra looks like, and then you see what Scorpio looks like. So when you see that transiting your chart, you know exactly what topics and what time it is in your chart. You can always book a reading with me, the blue Book Now button on my Facebook Live page, and this one is actually an hour, and you get, I think it's 40-something% off. It's a great deal. And I really go in depth, and I talk about karma in your readings and your personal information. You know, astrology can only take you so far. The rest is imprinting your karmic information on top of your astrological chart. So you want to look at what time is it? Well, when Venus is retrograde, it is time for you to discover your inner values. It is time for you to discover where you disavow and disallow prosperity into your life or protection. And protection can mean people who have your back. It can mean people in your life who would support you no matter what. So women will come into play in big ways this time. And if you have, let's say, a friend in your life or a family member, just as I was talking to my VIP client this morning and last week, she needed to get something clear with a sibling. And I said, well, let's do this before Venus goes retrograde, because when you get clear ahead of time, you know what to talk about. And she's already had the conversation, which now can lead to deeper valuing each other in the relationship and formulating a new bond. And that's important. Now, there might be some women in your life that are just there because they're there. You know, you can't throw out your relatives with the trash, right? Some of the people who you roll your eyes and go, I can't I'm done. Not my circus, not my monkeys. and so they might come into the picture. And I have a client in another country, and every time we have a reading, she talks to me about her sister. And I say, okay, you're supporting your sister financially. She can get a job. You're supporting her out of guilt because you took care of her when you were both little and your mom passed away. Yeah, you're 48 years old now, and she can get a job. Every time she comes to you for money and you dole out the funds, she plays on your guilt. Let's start to grow beyond the things that we no longer value, folks. That's what we're talking about. So, all right, I'm going to pull a card. I've been playing with these cards the whole time. I'm going to pull a card for the group on valuing this Venus in retrograde and what you could really focus on above and beyond what we've already discussed. I feel your vibes on the call and it makes me happy. Thank you. Oh, this is perfect. I love it. Okay. Do you see this card? It is called, turn it straight. It is called reciprocity. Woo, reciprocity. Tell me what you think reciprocity means, and I'll give you my definition just after I have a sip. This is huge for women. A lot of times women, and most people think that if I give to Rhonda or Stephanie, that they are going to give back to me in equal measure. Oh, I'm so sad because that definition is going to take you to a lot of resentful places. If you have an expectation that you're going to give to someone in particular, and that person doesn't reciprocate, you start to wonder, well, I did that for them and they didn't do it for me. I don't know. Well, and then the judgments begin, and then the heartaches begin, and then the separation begins, and then the resentment begins, and then the cockadoodles begin. So what I want you to look at is a new definition for reciprocity, okay? That when you give without expectation of getting back to anyone, a group, an organization, a person, a stranger, a family member, a lover, when you give without expectation of getting back, you fill the coffers of karma and you start to receive back from other sources. As John Assaroff says, expected and unexpected sources. So that is the new definition of reciprocity for you. Okay. Reciprocity does not mean you give, you get. That same person, we got it going on and I'm Gucci with you. No, no. And so if you have an expectation that they are going to give back to you because you gave them, all this stuff at Christmas and you went wild and it was so fun and you just did, and then, you open up like this little card and here's a donation I made in your name and you're like, oh, well, that was thoughtful. Not really. So, stuff like that is going to happen and bring up the parts of you that, don't value something. And it doesn't have to be about the other person. It could be about you. Maybe you have a high expectation. Well, you know what I'm going to say about expectations and reciprocity? The more expectations you have, the more disappointment you will have. So does that mean, I shouldn't expect, my friends, family, coworkers, I shouldn't expect them to be kind? No, you can expect them to be kind because if they have been kind, then they will be kind unless they're going through something tough. Then drop your expectations and go give them a hand and help out. But above and beyond the typical, what if you give and they hurt you on an emotional level? Well, if you give to someone and you're hurt emotionally, you want to ask yourself, where do you feel powerless? Right? Let me move over here. Where do you feel powerless? Mirror backwards make me nuts. And what is the flip side of that? What if you felt that power? What if you weren't hurt emotionally? Why were you hurt emotionally? I don't need to know in the thread, but you want to ask yourself, why was I hurt emotionally? Why? What was my expectation? Or maybe they crossed a boundary. If someone crosses a boundary, then that means you need to say no in a clearer way. Now, the other scenario is that you have an expectation, or they are mirroring some part of your own behavior. You know, this is what you want to really determine for yourself. If someone crosses a boundary in your life, hurts you, or you have an expectation that they would do something differently or something, expected, and they didn't, and then your feelings are, oh, wow, that was funky. I could do without that. Then what you want to look at is their behavior the same as yours? And you might go, oh, I never do that. And it's amazing to me how sometimes we can just change one word, even though the behavior is the same, we change one word, and we're doing the same thing as that other person. I had a client who complained about her mother-in-law, and she complained about her mother-in-law, and she complained about her mother-in-law. And I said, well, let's look at the behavior. Just take away the mother-in-law's name. What's the behavior? The behavior was selfish. The behavior was narcissistic. The behavior was fearful. The behavior was expectant. And I said, now, write on a piece of paper. Are you narcissistic? No, I'm not narcissistic. Oh, how about these times? And I pointed them out. Ouch. She didn't like that. And I said, are you expectant? Well, yeah, my family is going to take care of me. Expectant. She had the same exact behavior, but she had different words for it, and she expressed it differently. So a lot of times when people cross boundaries in our lives, it's for one of two reasons. We haven't set the boundary, and then we need to be vocal and we need to be clear. We need to express ourselves if we continue to want a relationship with that person, or they are mirroring our behavior on some level. So that's what you always want to go in and check with yourself, especially during this Venus in retrograde, because you're going to see a lot of stuff fly around the block in your life, especially with women, and especially with your beyond expectations. Sometimes it goes to what you are hoping for, and then we get disappointed. That if you're crying on the phone to a friend and they take it lightly, and you go, wow, and you have a hard time expressing yourself at all, and then they laugh, or they're like, oh, it's so cute, you're crying. And you're horrified. You're like, you're my friend, you're supposed to support me. I've heard everything. I've heard everything in 33 years. So nothing surprises me. But then what I will do is take that information and trail it back to you, your behavior. You're the reason for everything in your life. You are. And some of that stuff is beautiful and wonderful, and some of it is dubious and questionable, and other is, you don't need it. So Stephanie says, it's usually the not getting our own way that causes the feelings of unfairness. Yes, a lot of times, yes. So if you are not getting your own way, you want to ask, is your way better for you? If it is, go do it. If it's not, then open your mind and your heart and your ears and take a suggestion. Because Venus in retrograde, you're going to get a few suggestions. Someone's going to come your way and say, I know you have this complaint about me, and then defenses get big. Venus is big on defense. And protection. Protection is protection from the outside world. That's a boundary. Police protection, verbal protection, no, that's a boundary. But defense is also a form of protection. So if someone says to you, Rhonda, Gallet, I really didn't like that you did this thing. And you might go, oh, well, I only did it because you said this, or, and here comes the defense, and I have to protect myself because, everything you're saying deep down, it's probably true, and it hurts, and and then we go there. So you want to think about what feels unfair, and where you feel you've lost your power. And we just pulled the card, perpetual transformation. Perpetual transformation. Oh, it's got a moire pattern. How freaky. This perpetual transformation that we're in is called life. And so I'm going to be back on Thursday this week at 10 a.m. And I'm going to be talking more about your intuition. And with your intuition, we're going to do a very quick exercise. And I want to show you how you can tap in more to your intuitive self, because intuition and Venus go together, also with Neptune too, but intuition and Venus go together like peas in a pod. And during this Venus retrograde, October 5th through November 15th, at a week on either side, we're going to start to see things happen. You're going to start to feel things differently about women, about your own femininity, your own sexuality, your own gender identity, perhaps. Or you're going to start to examine your relationship to women in your life and where the boundaries need to be or where the healing needs to be. Oh, I see I have more comments. Bring on the transformation. Check it. That's great. Good. That's what we're going to do. So Thursday, I will be back. In the meantime, I'd like you to go to, Dean, if you're on the call and you can, I'm going to bring up the Bodhi Brainstorm link. And if you can see this, there you go. You can go to my website, not only just to get your birth chart, your free birth chart at astrologymojo.com, fill in all the fields, and then you'll be given your chart, and then you can come back to this video and you can look at the legend of signs and planets and see what things are in your chart if you're unfamiliar with your chart. In the meantime, also go to astrologymojo.com/brainstorm. I don't know if my husband might be out right now. Normally he's posting. Oh, there he is. Thanks, Dean. So there's the brainstorm link in the feed. So click on that, and I want you to listen to it. Minimum 10 minutes, maximum 20, once a day, maybe 4 times a week, just to start 3 times a week. And it's a hailstorm that I created, and behind the hailstorm is, and I'm going to remove this link right now. Behind the hailstorm is theta waves, alpha waves, gamma waves, delta waves, and all the different frequencies that can help you with your reticular activating system. It's in the PDF. Read about it, and you'll be able to work out a lot of issues in your sleep or during the 10-15 minute that you're listening with headphones to the Bodhi Brainstorm. And it's going to help remove and mitigate the resistance that you have to transformation. All right, I'm going to be back on Thursday this week at 10 a.m. Pacific, and that's 1 p.m. Eastern. Thank you, everyone, for showing up today and for being here and being sparkly. And again, leave your comments, give me your thumbs up, and if this is helping you, fantastic. If you would like me to talk about specific topics, please leave that in the comment feed below. If you are listening to this in a replay, thanks for joining me. And you might say hello or leave a comment, but I might not see it. In fact, I don't always get all the comments that are in the feed until later. I don't know why that is. We've tried to check that a few different ways. So if I don't reply to you, just know that I thank you for being there. And if you can make it and show up on Thursday, that is, I have to look. Oh, no. Yeah, Thursday, September 20th, and the moon will be in Aquarius, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being. Be sparkly. I wish you peace, and I'll see you on Thursday.